Neal, let's quickly look back at Tuesday's defeat at Oldham, your first defeat, of course, in charge. Some good bits and some bad bits you suggested after the game. I'm sure you've looked back at it as well. What's your overriding feeling now, 48 hours on?
I didn't think we deserved to win the game. I didn't think we deserved to get anything from it in the end. We didn't create enough. You know, in football you have to create chances. You have to take them chances when they come. I think in the end, you know, for all the possession we had and some of the nice patterns and movements we had, you know, at both ends of the pitch, that's where it counts. And I thought Oldham carried more of a threat, looked more likely to score than we did, and simply did. So, you know, the learning curve from that is, you know, you have to do more in both boxes, and we didn't deserve anything.
The reaction on social media from quite a few Oldham fans is they think York are probably one of the better sides they've seen this year. But do you think they've been blindsided a little bit by the amount of possession you managed to have the other night, as you say, without really creating too many clear-cut chances?
Yeah, I don't know, but you know, all we're worried about is winning football. Obviously, it's all very well me trying to get a bit of structure, and you know, for the fans to see going forward that the team has a philosophy, has a way that they're trying to do things. But you know, with where we are, we need to win games of football. So that's the most important thing. I think, you know, for me, having an identity is important, because how do you know if you start your recruitment process? How do you know what you're recruiting if you don't know how you play? So you've got to have an idea of how you play to then recruit the right players going forward. But the short-term, you know, massive, important part is we've got to try and pick up points.
One final question then on Tuesday night. Was there ever a time during that second half where you thought, you're looking back now, you think maybe we could have gone a little bit more direct instead of trying to keep hold of the ball 2-0 down? Did you have anything to lose? Have you not got the players to maybe do that?
Yeah, I'm not sure we have. But for me, I don't think it's a case of going direct. I think it's, you know, I try and talk to the players about everything I do is to try and get them into the final third with the ball, and then they've got to take the risks. They've got to make things happen. And you know, I'm a bit critical because we scored 5 goals in 2 games prior to that, and we scored some really good goals in that. So they've taken on a lot in a short space of time. So I'm being critical about one game. It's not like we've gone 3 games without scoring, but it's the most important part of the game. I think the problem is when you start, if all of a sudden you start saying, right, just hit diags, try and play off seconds, the moment that doesn't work, you become very, very open, and all of a sudden you've tried to change everything you've been doing within a game. I still thought we got into some great areas. It was just the quality and the spark from the attacking players that was missing. You know, we're playing Woking on Saturday. We're going to have to do things slightly differently because of how good Woking are at what they do.
Yeah, they're clearly having a decent season, as they did last year. I think unbeaten in 6, only lost a couple of games. So what sort of challenges do you think they're going to provide your side?
I know Darren really well. He's a good friend. They're extremely powerful, athletic, one of the best pressing teams in the league. Without the ball, the intensity they work at is immense. If we think we can go and dominate the ball and pass it around like we did at Oldham, we're going to come a cropper, because you know that's like going into a team like Woking and just trying to play nice slow football at the back is like saying we're going to give you everything you want and you're going to be really, really good at winning the ball back from us and creating chances. So we've got to, you talked about changing things up, we've got to come up with a way of trying to give ourselves the best chance of causing them problems, and there's got to be a balance in there somewhere.
Is that a challenge you enjoy, trying to work out how to get the better of an opposition?
Yeah. It's, you know, I've had it with different teams. It's easy when you've got different options and different armoury within your dressing room. Obviously, me and the players were all getting to know each other. It's a shame because I've had sort of that initial first week where I got to do some work on the training field, and now it's just a case of recovering and trying to get ready for the next game. So trying to teach the team the best way of trying to get a result on Saturday away at Woking is not going to be easy, because realistically Friday's going to be the only day we're going to get work on it.
There were lots of people looking at this game thinking, well, it's maybe a bit of a home banker, but you've got so many players here still from last season as well, all the new ones. York City, despite their troubles last year, I think had the best record against the top 7 clubs. They got points against absolutely everyone in that top 7, including Wrexham, including Notts County, and won lots of games. Did the double over Woking, did the double over Barnet, did the double over, I can't remember where else it was, and finished in the top 7. So they can go there with some confidence, some of these players, despite looking at the league table.
Well, good. Hopefully that's in their minds then. So every season's different managers, different players. So yeah, it is what it is. We need to pick up points, and I think we knew the run we was coming up against was tough. If you look at the first 7 games and some of the teams, Kiddie had just been promoted. Obviously your Dorking stuff, and then all of a sudden now you're Southend, your Barnet at the top, your Solihull unbeaten, your Woking, which is a horrible place to try and go and get a result. We've got Bromley coming up. They're all at the top and they're all powerful, strong teams. So we've got a tough run, and we've got to find solutions in every game. I thought we did some nice stuff in the Oldham game, but we didn't do anywhere near enough to win the game, and Woking's going to be a challenge. The
early kick-off, how does that change your normal match day routine?
Well, we'll be travelling down Friday. It's just on the day. I think sometimes when you have a 3 o'clock kick-off, there's a lot of waiting around, and I try and always feel that in the hotel with the boys doing prehab work and mobility work, and we try and make sure they're not sitting around in their rooms. This takes care of that. It will be up, breakfast, some mobility work, onto the coach, or team meeting onto the coach, and off we go. So hopefully it will work in our favour, but like I say, Woking's an extremely tough place to go.
I suppose it means you get back a little bit earlier as well, knowing you then play again on Tuesday night.
That will help. That will help give us a little bit more time. I mean, we look at everything as far as recovery, even whether we train a little bit later on the Monday to give the players an extra hour in bed recovering, and an extra half a day for their legs to recover. We look at all sorts when it comes to trying to freshen the boys up. The club have been brilliant. We're looking at all the recovery strategies we can put in place and equipment we might need to get to improve that, because as you know, there's probably something like 24, 25 Tuesday games a season, and recovery is everything.
Games on TV, of course, that's why it's an early kick-off. Does that provide any extra pressure to your players, or do you sometimes get concerned that players will try and do something that they wouldn't ordinarily do to try and impress that a little bit more, or is it just part and parcel of football now at this level? There is a game every week.
I mean, I've always found that the TV games should bring the best out of everybody. Whenever I've had my teams, we've always done okay on the TV games and performed well. I'd like to think that's going to be the case. If you can't get up for being on telly and trying to impress and play well on telly, then you never will. So hopefully it will help us and give us an extra bit of encouragement, not that we should need any, and we can put in a good performance.
Any team news you can give us?
Not really. I mean, we're training this afternoon, Thursday, so we'll be counting the bodies, having a look at where everybody is. We've got 1 or 2 now. Alex Woodyard has trained back end of last week. We've got some good mileage into his legs this week as well. So, at the back end of this week, I'll have a look at him and see whether I think he's in a place to be back in and around it. Callum Harriot's probably a little bit further behind him, but still on that road, which will be great news. And we're actively looking in the market to see if we can give ourselves 1 or 2 options in areas on the pitch that we're a little bit short.
Is there a chance that could happen before Saturday?
We're working on it. Getting deals over the line are difficult, but I've been last night and again this morning working on 1 or 2 things, and they can happen very quickly when they do. Sometimes they take a lot longer, but if there's a chance of getting a player in before Saturday to be in the squad, obviously I will push for that.
I suppose the player you're constantly going to be asked is outside at the minute after his illness is Callum Howe as well. I take it he would push him for a restart.
Well, yeah, I think Tuesday, he'd hardly eaten all weekend, so to throw him in Tuesday, and the team had kept a clean sheet, so there was no reason to. Again, I'll monitor him. We gave him a light Monday. He was obviously only on the bench Tuesday, so we'll monitor him and see where his levels are today in training. Before I make decisions, you have to take all that kind of information in before you try and make decisions on the team.
Well, again, it's a game. You'll have decent following as well from York City supporters. Lots of them live down south that you were desperate to get something from this weekend.
Honestly, I couldn't believe they were brilliant on Tuesday night. You could barely see them up in the top because it was so dark up there. But when I went over to Clapham, I mean, wow, what a turnout! And sorry we couldn't give them the win, but hopefully, they can at least see a team trying to work towards something. But I'm under no illusions. We need to win games. We need to get ourselves, up into that middle of the table and try and push from there. But we've certainly got a tough run to do that.
When you speak to the managers you've come up against recently, are they surprised where York find themselves at the minute?
No, because I think there's been a lot of not upheaval, but new owners, loads of new players coming in, managers gone, a new manager's come in, all these things, it's nothing settled. So I think when you've got all of that, I think managers at other clubs realise that a little bit of stability and a good transfer window and a good pre-season and a bit of team bonding, all of these things give you a chance to start the season well. And if you look at York, they probably haven't had any of that because it's just been a little bit chaotic with the amount of players and the things that have been tried to have been done in the summer, which has all been good intention, but obviously it creates that little bit of mayhem that needs to settle down.
That's great, thank you.
Neil, let's start with the Oldham game on Tuesday. Really mixed bag of a performance. I'd say I don't think it was. I thought we were all right, but I thought obviously there were some mistakes. What do you think it was that went wrong?
I think you hit the nail on the head. We were all right. We made mistakes at the back, for the goals, which happens, and we were sort of toothless and lacked a spark up top. And it's a bit of a cliche, but at both ends of the pitch is what wins your games of football. So you can, in between the boxes, we can play nice stuff and we can control spells of the game. But in the end, Oldham deserved to win because they had more of a threat, and they're sort of at the back they were solid, and at the top they had a threat, and we were the opposite.
It felt like we weren't quite at it in the final third, as you said, against Oldham. Is that something that's been worked on or is being worked on in training this week?
Well, it will do. I mean, we just had to recover up until now. When lads are recovering and you need to get them fresh for the next game, there's loads of ways of doing it. You can have video analysis and stuff like that to show situations, which I'm sort of working on at the moment. So that might be a way of doing it. And then tomorrow's a big day because tomorrow we've got to kind of put Oldham to bed, and it's going to be totally different. Every game's different, and there's even spells within games that are different. But Woking are going to be a totally different test to Oldham, and we need to be ready for that.
Absolutely. How are you feeling ahead of the Woking game?
I'm looking forward to it because it's another chance to get some points on the board. But I know how tough it is. Darren's teams are really fit, strong, athletic, and well drilled. And I like my teams to have the ball and to pass the ball and to play through the thirds. And that's food and drink for Darren's teams because he likes his teams to get after you, and we're going to have some challenges and we're going to have to find some solutions.
David mentioned it was 2 wins and actually 2 clean sheets as well against Woking last season. Obviously, York City do have a pretty good record against some of the bigger kind of stronger teams in the National League. Does that breed any confidence in you and the players at all?
Is it going to be my fault if we don't carry that on? So, put pressure on me now. I think sometimes, and I have seen this in my career at different clubs, there is teams that can be your bogey team, and there's teams that you historically do well against. Hopefully that will be the case with Woking, but like I say, it is new manager, new players, so who knows whether it will transfer over.
Finally, are there any players who won't travel who might not be aware of?
Not at the moment. I don't know if there's anyone that's, as far as I'm aware, we're training this afternoon, but the physio always puts a report into the group the night before training and the morning, and as it stands at the moment, my biggest challenges are going to be seeing whether, like I've mentioned before, people like Alex Woodyard or Callum Harriott are where they need to be, whether they can be included in the squad, whether people drop out of the squad for that reason, etc., etc.
Brilliant. That's from me.